Yeah, that's a great question. I think, at least based on our research, it's the first time that an academic validated study has really shown how digital health can save cost for life and health insurances globally. So I really I see it as a breakthrough. As previously mentioned, we had no involvement with the University of Groningen in Holland, and we had no idea that they were doing this study. So they were basically looking at a large health insurer in Holland and looking at how often were people going to the doctor or clinical visits, how much did an average Dutch client, a health insurance client, cost for the operator. And this is significant because if you think about the explosion globally, we have seen national health services in England, asking for 20 billion pounds more money to service people's health. We're seeing Trump going after the, whole national healthcare system in America because of price increases. I live in Switzerland. I saw last year that my health insurance was going up with close to 7%. What I'm getting at is we need to think about new ways to have people engaging with their health and lowering the expenses of health, of digital, health and health insurance overall. Yeah, I mean, when we look at the Society of Actuaries, which is, at least in my eyes, the organization for actuaries, they did a study last year where they were looking at if people were using digital health platforms, they would actually be more open towards buying additional coverage for cancer policies, longevity policies, etc. What I'm getting at is with platforms like dacadoo, also known as digital health engagement platforms, we're now starting to see from, I would call it nice to have, that they are moving over towards becoming mission critical. So we have seen over the last 12 months, we saw HSBC announcing that they had 4 times higher engagement with dacadoo, and they became insurance operator in Asia last year with their HSBC Well Plus. And so they publicly went out and said, we have significantly increased our engagement level. So to put it in a nutshell, if you would talk to an IDC or Gartner Group, which are leading research companies, they would tell you a typical life and health insurance company only has 2 to 4% engagement. And we now see that companies or organizations, both private and public healthcare operators that are using digital health engagement platforms, and in particular in those cases, dacadoo, that they are seeing up to a 4 to 5-fold increase in engagement, all the way up to 40-50%, which was the case for an HSBC Life. So I think now we see, number one, on the cost lowering of the client, which is a super important KPI. So that's one area. And secondly, you see growth. So companies selling more with the up and cross selling because people simply start understanding their health and their risk. And that is, in our eyes, a very powerful way for insurance operators to up and cross sell. And thereby we are seeing what we call the second generation of digital health. Yeah, it goes back to, I would probably say, the 80s of behavioral economics. You saw it back in when the airline miles were launched in the airline industry. And today, I think we see, mileage programs in retail, in airlines, in entertainment, etc. So what we are seeing now is that the insurance industry is really growing up, and somebody says it's, FOMO, meaning fear of missing out. I think it's more important is that you drive that engagement, that sustainable loyalty from the client towards your brand. And we see now that companies such as Allianz and other ones are really in their annual report tracking their brand value, tracking their engagement, and you can drive that directly down to your balance sheet. So the higher brand loyalty, the longer term engagement you have from the insurance client. So I think it's a very, very important part of the strategy from the insurance operators. And that's how the dacadoo platform is built. So we use behavioral economics, point system, gamification, social networking, groups, specific confidence interval where you score the engagement of the end user. Yeah, I think the first generation we saw of digital health was very, single function use, and that was cumbersome for the user. Let me give you an example. Let's say in the first generation, one insurance company would roll out a sleeping app or a stress app or a walking app. What we now see with the second generation full stack technology is that the insurance operator becomes the service provider. So you don't want, as an insurance operator, to be transactional only, but you want to be really mission critical, as I said before. So with the second generation of digital apps, it's a fully integrated platform. I can do blood testing at home. I can book my doctor. If I'm not feeling well, I can talk to my shrink, etc. So it's single sign-on, it's a deep linking of content. And now we are seeing, of course, more and more AI and machine learning. So these rack-based, which means controlled models, where we are seeing fully integrated insurance offerings. And this will, of course, if we look at the latest study from McKinsey, in the underwriting, it can take out up to 25% with accelerated underwriting and dynamic pricing. Yeah, so number one, the data is always your data. We are very big believers, as you know, we are Swiss, so we are big believers in data privacy. All data is encrypted with the 256 key, and you always have opt-in, opt-out. You have a segregation of data points. So you can at any time say, what do I want to share? Do I want to share my health score or not share my health score? Do I want to participate in a challenge or not in a challenge? So privacy is everything in insurance and life and health. At the end of the day, insurances have, of course, always priced based on data learnings. That's why you have actuaries. That's why you have live tables. And I think it's very, very important. I call it the something for something economy, meant in a positive and in a highly respectful way. So it's about finding this loyalty between the client and the operator. And at the end of the day, find a consensus where the consumer is happy and the insurance operator has the trust. And this is how we have built the security foundation, fully HIPAA compliant, ISO compliant, GDPR compliant, and of course, when the new laws come up around AI, to make sure that you are fully compliant with the AI laws. Yeah, that's a big question. So we have to keep in mind that if you look at Western Europe, there was used to be 7 working people to 1 retired person. And according to the latest study from UBS, we are now moving towards 4 working to 1 retiree. So you are spot on. Chronic diseases can kill, and I mean the way that I say it, any health insurance. You see it in the UK, and you are seeing it in many other countries. I was just in Saudi Arabia last week. They have a lot younger population, but they have massive obesity issues. I was invited there to speak at their annual health conference. So I think overall, we gotta get back to a healthier society, and not sounding like, a priest or something, but At the end of the day, we got to make sure that people understand their health, that they understand their life choices. We teach economics at school, math at school, but prevention is not taught at any school system that I know of. And many school systems, they sell chocolate bars and cakes, and all that is good. But at the end of the day, if you understand your health, you can improve it, you can maintain it. And going forward with this longevity, change, also known as the silver tsunami, that's going to be a huge growth opportunity for the life and health insurance industry, but it's also going to be a risk for the overall society. And, if you understand something, you can price it. And that's why we believe that we need a health score, because it will help the consumer understand their health, and it will help the insurance company to do a more attractive pricing and hyper-personalization of your life. Yeah, I mean, we are, a cool vendor by Gartner Group, and we are a global leader by CB Insights with our risk engine, which can score mortality and morbidity in real time. You're right, it is moving super fast. I think, every fourth week you open your newspaper or your, web browser, you will see that there's a new generative AI generation. So at the end of the day, it's a war for talent. It's a war for foundation technology. And when I say a war, I mean it, of course, in a positive sense. So the insurance operators that will have state-of-the-art technology, that will have the right branding value, as I said before, but even more importantly, a sustainable long-term engagement model, they would be the big winners, as we have seen in entertainment with a Netflix, or as we have seen in a transportation industry with Uber, where they came, from nowhere and became the trusted brand. The same will come to life and health insurance. We will see companies that really understand how to build this hyper-personalized economy, and not only a transactional economy when I have an accident or a family change whatsoever. And I think that's the big change we're going to see. And secondly, as I said before, hashtag we care. I think insurance companies really need to show we are in a common boat together. We want to protect you. We want to look after you. We want to keep you healthy. And that's going to be the key differentiator in the long-term market trust from the consumers. Yeah, I think, insurance companies, they always want to see concrete use cases. So as I outlined before, if I can, address a certain age group, so we see a lot of insurances that come to us, such as I mentioned before, the HSBC use case, that they say, how do we address, a certain age group? Or as we saw with Albertson in America, one of the world's leading retailers, that said, we would like to build a more healthy nutrition. And I'm sure you have followed in the press what is called, food as medicine. So basically, there are different, very specific use cases, and these use cases will be a lot more personalized going forward in the future. So with dacadoo, I can create groups, I can create, specific focus. And now we are coming out with dacadoo version 5 in 2025. And here you're going to see the world's first phase of, personalized coaching, completely rack-based, as I said before, so a controlled environment of AI. So basically, the health score becomes the North Star that the consumer creates a relationship with. You have the point systems, which are outcome-based, and then you have the whole coaching that is looking after my life. So I think we are seeing, the study we saw in Holland is the beginning of what I call second generation of digital health. So you had the first generation that were very, very vertical, very one signal specific. And in the future, it's going to be a full stacked, service-based, hyper-personalized life and health insurance experience. Yeah, I think, as I said before, what you eat is what you become. So what we are seeing right now is dacadoo is rolling out the global basket scoring system. So this is fully integrated into the retailers' point system. So you have to imagine no more taking pictures of food, or you're trying to track how many grams you ate. So we basically score saturated, non-saturated, salt, vitamin D, iron, etc. What I'm getting at is, in the future, digital life and health is going to be non-invasive to your life. It's going to give you a holistic view of your health. And that's what we are working on right now. So you saw now the study in Holland. You saw us announcing the grocery basket score for the retailers, which has led to immense interest globally for the big retailers, because you can now score the basket in real time and be completely independent of any app. And that basket, meaning what you eat is what you become, can go directly into your health score. So these are very important. In second half of the year, you're going to see, as I mentioned before, the next generation coaching coming out, which is going to be, extremely engaging. So that's what we are working on right now.